Good afternoon, everyone, to the Personnel Committee meeting for the July 14, 2021. So the first order is to call to the order to the meeting. We have quorum. The second item in the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the May 12, 2021 meeting. So do I have a motion?
I move approval.
Any question, comment, changes to the minutes? No? Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. So next in our agenda is public appearances for non-agenda items. Do we have anyone in the chamber? No? Okay. Online? No. Okay. So then we move to the agenda items. The first item is a training of new commission and committee chairs. So, Sarah?
Yeah, so we added this to the agenda. Julia, you had asked to put this on there as to just talk about what kind of orientation that they receive. I'm going to share my screen. This was also in the packet. Let's see here. And basically, this is the orientation or the member handbook that all commission, committee, and boards receive. So if we want to make any changes to that type of training, we can certainly do so. So I'm hoping that both of you had a chance to kind of walk through it. But here's the table of contents. We talk about everything from quorum and voting to the responsibility of the officers and members, from the presiding officer to, secretary, the duties, ethics and standards of conduct, the procedures for meetings. So we get into those details, open meeting type of laws. We also talk about Robert's rules in there. So we do share this with all of the new committee and commission members. It's just basically sent to them. It's not like somebody sits down with them or gives them any type of training. It's just, we hope that people read through the handbook.
So, okay. Oh, I messed it up. So thank you, Sarah. So my question was because I witnesses that some of the new chair some of them struggle to follow the meeting, to when there is amendment to a resolution, what is the next step. So that one was my question. It was that if there is any formal training, it's okay. It's great that we have this, booklet. But my question is, if we invite them to come to to have all the new chairs, or to talk to the city clerk, to talk about, some of the rules of managing the agenda, like more one-to-one. That one is because I want to be honest, I was the chair of CIDA, and I never received this package. Way back, you know what I mean? So I don't know if we are doing this with the new chair more intentionally now. But when I talk about training, it was more like if we have another more formal training, like maybe 1 or 2 hour, one-to-one. I don't know, the city clerk, or I don't know who else. But to go through the procedures in how to, manage a meeting. You know what I mean? Yep. So that one was my idea. I don't know, Gabriela, if you have any comment.
I have a couple of thoughts about it, because I've also encountered in many of my different commissions issues with a lack of knowledge about how the commission is supposed to work, Robert's Rules of Order, and there's a wide variety of different things that come up. I think the crux of the problem is that the chair doesn't always have a lot of experience or knowledge about these items. And the staff member, if they're not one of the staff members that's constantly running meetings, they might not have the answer either. So a couple times I was the person with the most experience with Robert's Rules of Order, which is fine. But I do think that the chair needs, I mean, if I were in that position as a chair, I would wish I had more training, and more information given to me. So this member handbook, I'm curious, so it looks like it was last updated November 2020. Who takes a look at it? Is it just you, Sarah? Is it looked at by the city attorney? Is it looked at by the mayor? Like who is looking at this handbook that goes out?
I got this from the clerk's department. So I don't actually give this out. I don't review this. This is something that the clerk's department hands out to all of the new commission committee members. So, I think that parts of this, the city attorney has likely, contributed to. I think that multiple people have contributed to the handbook. And yeah, it was last updated in November of 2020. So, I mean, there is possibility to add some type of orientation, a sit down 1 to 2 hours where we can have something special from the city attorney, CIVMIC. We can have a taped maybe
Yeah.
presentation
A
by the
webinar,
attorney,
yeah.
by CIVMIC, and everything from, Robert's rules to open meetings, those types of things. We can look into
Yeah,
that.
because I faced a situation recently in a committee where it was, the chair did not know how to facilitate an amendment to
Yeah.
a motion, to a main motion. And then, like, there was a lot of confusion about, do we vote on the, like, there wasn't clarity even that we voted on the amendment before we voted on the main motion. And there was a lot of confusion, and I did my best to explain based on what I understood, but because I don't have the authority of the chair, I don't know. I thought it was I thought it was problematic. I also think that there are some like small edits I'd be interested in, and I don't even know if it's worth discussing. It's just like little things about how the guide is structured. That if anyone's interested in feedback, I'd be happy to provide it. But obviously, it's not my I don't have to if there's not an interest in it. But the other thing, like the table of meetings with like the dates and times, that changes all the time. I think that's a strange thing to have in the guide. It almost seems like something that would be better for the website, and then refer people to the location on the website where they can find that information.
Yeah.
I think there should be a link to where the agendas are in the packet so that people can easily find the agenda. Because I honestly, I do not think the city website is intuitive. And I think if no one ever sends someone the link to where to find the agendas, it's possible that a committee member might never know where to find it, and therefore might not be actually reading them because they don't ever download them. I also personally think that there should be an expectation that if you miss a committee meeting, that you should watch that meeting before the next meeting, although that's not laid out as an expectation for committee members. And then, I guess the one other thing I noticed in meetings recently was that with the public testimony, I know our convention and council is that there's a 3-minute testimony, and that the committee may answer some questions, but that it's not a constant back and forth between whoever is in the public and the committee, which I've seen happen at certain meetings, which is like made meetings last more than an hour because there's this constant back and forth between the people that testify. And in my mind, that's something that the chair has to, but I don't know if that expectation is communicated to the chair, that that's what we do. And that's not clear in the packet either. So those are a few of the things that I've noticed recently.
Okay. Why don't I talk to Tracy, the city clerk, and see if we can get some of your feedback and try to get this, we can look at potentially updating the handbook. You've got some good recommendations. So that might be the first step. So let me talk to Tracy in the clerk's department and just see what we can do for next steps.
Another thing that I noticed in this handbook is that on page 11, when they say the deadline for completion of a specific task, distribution of draft minutes, they say by the end of the week following the meeting, and it never happened. Because sometimes I am looking for minutes because as a council I need to present, and some of the minutes are not there. Some of the package are not there. The EMS package from one of the last meetings is not even uploaded. So so there is an expectation that the minutes should be done by the following meeting. So it's good to know that it's there, but sometimes they're not there.
I also have one other question that's a little bit ancillary to this conversation, if I may.
Okay.
On the website, you can get email addresses for some of the committee members, but not all of them. Not everyone has an email address listed. And I don't know why that is, and I think that it could be a privacy issue, but no matter why, I think that it is good for the public to be able to communicate with the committee as a whole if they have a real strong opinion about something, especially since not everyone can attend meetings in person. So I don't know if it's possible to do like a listserv for each committee, like we have the council and mayor listserv that just sends it to everyone automatically. If there could be a Parks Commission listserv and a Public Works listserv, so that even if they didn't want their individual email address on the website, they would still get communications from the public. I think that would be nice, and especially with the Police and Fire Commission, you know, with the hiring process coming up, I do think that the public should be able to email those individuals in the commission to give their feedback, and I think making it easy as possible would be a good way to go.
Yeah, our IT director, Matt Pro, is already kind of working on that. He created a PFC email for the Police and Fire Commission.
Okay.
So it's pfc@fitchburgwi.gov. So then it goes to me as the staff contact, and then I can share all of that feedback without having any type of quorum issues. I think he's looking at doing that for potentially all the different committees, so that there's just a standard. So if you have rural ag, it'll be rural ag at fitchburgwi.gov, you know, whatever the committee is, so that
Great.
there's a good way for people to just reach a certain committee.
Yeah, because I got a lot of phone call trying to reach people for the police, the PFSC, and they went to the website and I couldn't find any contact that they want to give some feedback to the process. And this is what I contact you, and you know.
Yeah, all that's up to date now. So there's a phone number on there and an
Okay.
email. So
Okay.
there's no, there's definitely ways to get hold of the PFC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so so that one is, okay, so, yeah, I think we need to, this is a recommendation, is if we can improve the system, especially, you know, especially when we have new, chair for commission, because I noticed everything that Gabriela mentioned in one of my meetings, and I was there, so I had to clarify the process, so. But yeah, so it was a lot of confusion, and so, okay,
I also, I'm sorry, one last thing, if I can.
yes,
I also it'd be nice to know like when this gets sent out. Like, does it get sent out to a person as soon as they're appointed? Is it sent out once a year when it's updated? Because I do think there are a lot of committee members that have never received this. So I don't know what the process is, but if it is a matter of sending it out to everyone immediately upon their appointment, and then maybe once a year we direct the chair to send out the updated copy to the entire membership and ask them to read through it. And maybe there's an agenda item on the next meeting to like check if anyone has any questions, just so that there's like a real process in place to make sure that people are at least receiving this. You know, obviously we can't force anybody to read it, but make sure that they at least have access to it.
That's a great idea. I'll definitely talk to Tracy about how frequent. I think it's just sent to brand new members, but I will double check. And maybe that is something we can start doing is annually, so it's a good reminder for folks. Yep. I'll connect back with both of you.
do you want to speak, Chad? Yeah, you can come to,
I was just going to offer a suggestion.
Oh.
If you don't mind, sir, would you also suggest that perhaps the city receive an acknowledgement from?
Could he use the mic? I'm sorry, I can't hear him.
My apologies. I should know better that my voice doesn't carry that much. I was just going to offer the suggestion for Tracy that perhaps there be an acknowledgement from committee or commission board members that they have received that packet. That way that at least if there are any questions as to whether or not it was at least distributed. Again, the question would be, you know, whether or not they've actually read it, but I think it would be helpful for the city to at least have an acknowledgement that they've received it. Ideally, they've also read it as well.
and you know what other recommendation, I think that I saw that way back. We should have here in the chamber in the other small room where we have meeting, like a book with the Robert rules of, you know what I mean? Handy in case that people have question. I remember that we used to have one here. I think so, way back, I don't know. But, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I'll see what I can find related to something like that. Maybe electronic format that they can have access to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you, everyone. So next, we move to 4B agenda item is we have an introduction of the 360-degree feedback from department heads. So Sarah.
Yeah, super excited about this. This has been a very big project for us. We had a focus group of department heads that all convened to actually put together, you know, what is the purpose, what is the goals, what are the objectives. So we had quite a few weeks that we met and we went over how raters are selected, what are the questions that we're asking. How will the information that we get from the 360 be shared, and who has access to that? How do we do this in NeoGov, which is our performance evaluation system that we use already for merit increases? So it's a really slick process. It's something we can already do in NeoGov, so it's not like it's a paper process. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and actually bring up in the packet, there were some additional materials that I think you would find helpful that we can just kind of look at. All right. Okay, so the first thing is a frequently asked questions. So this is meant to be helpful for all city staff. So we are only implementing 360-degree feedback for department heads right now. If it works out well, potentially we'll go to another management tier, and then maybe potentially all staff. So we're going to kind of see how this goes. In about 6 months, the focus group will reconvene and just see, are there any modifications that we need to make? Is the system working as intended? So really, this is meant to be a development tool. So this is our way to get feedback from subordinates, from external business partners, from colleagues. So it's meant to be an anonymous process, and so that we can make sure we get honest feedback. And again, as a development tool, we have wonderful department heads, and it's just going to help strengthen our leadership. And so one of the big questions, how long will this take for me to complete? It's really only about 11 questions, and I can show you what those questions are, but really it shouldn't take somebody more than 10 minutes to complete it, give or take. I mean, some you might want to take a little bit longer, it all depends, but this shouldn't be something that adds a tremendous amount of time on our department heads or the raters. One of the questions are, how are raters chosen? So our focus group decided that we would look for about 6 raters, including the department head themselves. So they would actually give a self-evaluation. And I have the sample questions for a self-evaluation included in the packet. The supervisor can review who they had nominated as raters, and they might see somebody on there that is a colleague that they don't really work with a whole lot, and might say, nah, I don't know about the senior center director. I think you should have the finance director listed. So they can adjust the raters as needed to make sure that they're getting good feedback and helpful feedback. And so from there, one of the questions, does the department head rate themselves? Yes. So the self-evaluation is set up differently. It's not meant to be like you're rating yourself on accountability or service excellence. It's really asking you, what were your accomplishments over the year? What excites you about the job that you do? What are some of the challenges? What, as a supervisor, can I do better to help support you? What kind of training needs do you have? So the self-evaluation is meant to be more informative for the the administrator and or mayor who's actually reading the feedback. We want people to be honest in the rating. So if you're sent if you're asked to be a rater, we do want employees to answer those. So if, as an employee, you're asked to rate your supervisor, we really do hope that employees feel comfortable enough to give an honest rating for the supervisor. And to ensure this, we actually have it all confidential, so it's anonymous, so that that employee can't see exactly what that rater said. So what we would be hoping to do then is have some good training for our city administrator, Chad, and Mayor Richardson on giving that feedback in a way where it's not like, well, this person said this and this, to give it in a thoughtful way so that it's being used as a development tool, but that we're looking for any trends that we might need to address. So the most important thing is that this is completely confidential so that an employee can give an honest rating of their supervisor. And then, does it affect their merit increases? Absolutely. So, I mean, it can. I shouldn't say absolutely. So as the supervisor, they're still the ones that are giving the overall score. But they're looking at everything in totality. So they're looking at all of these 360 feedback ratings and gathering information and learning more about how that employee interacts with other people to help get that final score. The supervisor may see things that other people don't. They may see, great results. They might see that employee, performing very well. So if for some reason somebody got all bad 360 feedback, which I wouldn't see happening, but if it was low scores, it doesn't necessarily mean that means they're not going to get a merit increase. Ultimately, the supervisor is still giving the rating. So, Chad or the mayor. And then we'll check in again in 6 months just to see how this whole process is going. But what I want to share with you are the actual questions that we're going to ask and kind of how we came to these. So you're going to see the actual questions we asked for the raters to complete is based on our core values. We have 5 core values, and data. So it's a key position that's also funded primarily by MPSIS too. So I include that on the agenda so that you could see kind of what the budget impact would be.
Where is that?
I thought I included that in packet.
Because that one was my other question.
Yeah, let me give you some more information. I know he had sent an email regarding how it's funded.
No, it's not here.
Is it not on the agenda? Okay. Yeah, you could totally help me out, thanks. I'll give you exact numbers.
So how MPSIS funds its positions and nearly all functions of the MPSIS, which is the shared joint public safety systems with Verona, Monona, Fitchburg, Sun Prairie, and Middleton, is based on percentage of population of the municipalities. So Fitchburg's share would be based on, in this case, the law enforcement data analyst's salary and benefits would be based upon its population as an overall percentage of the consortium. So, if the overall percentage of the consortium is, and I'm just using rough numbers, 100,000 people, we'd probably be sharing about 30,000 or 30% of that cost.
Okay.
So it is a good, definitely a good partnership with those 5 municipalities, and it's definitely a way to share resources amongst municipalities in order to capture positions like a data analyst. And broadening my hat here a little bit now, I think that it may be interesting to see what other ways municipalities, perhaps even these 5 municipalities, can look to share resources beyond the public safety realm moving forward.
Yeah, Matt was really great. He provided a lot of great information before he left on vacation. He said that for 2022, the city of Fitchburg represents 28.14% of the total combined population of the MPSIS agencies. So Fitchburg is going to pay about 28.14% of the salary of the data analyst. So that means that Fitchburg is responsible for 28.14% of any salary increase.
Okay.
So it's not 100%.
No, I know.
Yep.
When is going to be effective this?
Yeah, so it would be effective the pay period following personnel committee.
Okay. So this one is going to impact, no, because MP, okay, so it's okay. So do we need to have a motion to approve this?
Exactly,
Okay.
yep.
This motion, but it's not going to go to council, isn't it? No.
It only needs to go to personnel committee for approval.
Even
because
though there is like a adjustment in,
we were able to do it under the 5,000, so there was a
Oh, okay,
memo
okay.
that Matt
Okay.
had to put together to work with Misty to make sure that we were within the budget approval amendment. So it was a budget amendment that Matt had to make, but it was well under the 5,000.
so
it
it's
doesn't
not
need
going to go through council?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. No, I wasn't, okay. Gabriela, do you have a question?
Yeah, just to clarify, this position is it paid through the police budget, or is it through the IT budget, or is it a mix of the two? Because I know we're only paying 20% of the salary, but that salary is coming from a particular budget.
Oh, 1 second. Chat is coming back.
Chad will know the answer to this one.
You would think after the 4th trip up here, I would have already stayed here two trips ago. My recollection, and I'm trying to visualize how it's laid out in the city budget, is if you look in the city budget document that's prepared, you'll see the MPSIS is listed kind of as its own subcategory within or under the police section. Generally speaking, not really generally speaking, but Matt Pro puts that budget together annually. He is responsible for managing that budget, although it is listed in the city's budget documents under the police department.
Okay.
So because we're like an under $5,000 budget change, we anticipate being able to absorb that into the budget, just through different underages that happen throughout the year.
I'll have to look and see exactly what the memo, it's been a while. We were working on this early June, but I know that I'm pretty sure that as long as we could come up with the funds, I think that there were some savings somewhere. I need to find that particular memo, but
So this is, it's not gonna be a critique, but it's a feedback. This is some information that it should have been in the package,
okay.
especially for me as an and Gabriela sitting in the finance committee, because my question is that, because if we need to amend the budget for any amount, it usually go to finance and council. This is what I asked the question, does it need to go to?
Yeah.
Because because we have in the past in personnel committee changes some job description, but it didn't impact monetary. We didn't, we were adjusting the language but this one, it has a monetary effect. So this is what I want to be sure that it doesn't have to come to council or finance committee.
Yeah, I'm positive it doesn't need to go anywhere besides
Okay.
personnel committee. Yep, we had worked with Misty on that to make sure.
Do you know what the overall change in salary was?
Yeah, I could actually get that if you just give me a second.
Because he's moving from a manager to a director.
He's going from the non-exempt to exempt. He's not going to a manager level.
But this is what it said, the job description. Here it says, is a report.
Oh, no,
Report,
Reports
sorry.
too.
Sorry. Okay, so it's okay.
Yeah, I can find that number for you in
Okay,
a little
that's-
bit here,
okay.
but I don't have it handy at my fingertips.
Or you can
right
send
now.
an email and then.
Yeah, I'll get
Yeah.
back to you for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I'm a big believer that if he's doing this work, that
Yeah.
this is what he does. So
Yeah.
job description to reflect the work that he actually does, and his pay should reflect what is consistent across the city. Because I know we have things. I just want to make sure that we're able to absorb it in the budget, and that clearly that's being planned for that higher wage going forward. I'm also curious, just in general, you might not have the answer to this, but because this is a partnership between different municipalities, does each personnel committee in the different municipalities have to authorize this before it goes forward? Or will we pay that increased rate no matter what? I just don't know. I don't understand how that works.
I'll offer, my understanding of that is that Stan, while he is funded, or his position is funded by all 5 municipalities, he is considered a Fitchburg employee. He is afforded a placement on our salary schedule. He is offered our benefits and other fringe related compensation. If there's any differences between, say, Middleton and Fitchburg in compensation or benefits, he doesn't get to pick and choose which ones he wants. He gets the Fitchburg package. So therefore, he is considered a Fitchburg employee, and the funding source is just the 5 communities in order to fund his compensation package. So therefore, it would only need to go, at least based upon my understanding, to just the Fitchburg Personnel Committee for that.
Okay. But I guess that begs the question is, we're obviously planning to increase his salary according to the change in job description and classification. But are the other municipalities going to follow suit, or are we expected to pay the difference? Because I assume other municipalities didn't budget for a mid-year.
So I don't want to speak for Sarah, and I know she's looking for where the funding is coming from. I wasn't involved in development of this information. Looks like she may have found it here, but my assumption is there was savings somewhere else in the MPSIS budget that they're going to utilize to cover the remainder of this year for that salary adjustment. And then obviously the 2022 MPSIS budget will be submitted soon. And then each of the 5 cities councils will have the opportunity to vote on that portion of their budget moving forward.
Yeah, and you can see on the memo attached, this was from Matt to Misty, dated May 12th. Basically, the result of the increase or the move to the higher pay grade is an increased salary and benefit costs in just this year of $620. So those costs are offset by the waived disability premiums because we don't have any employer cost with ICI this year. And then the $2,500 increase in next year will be accounted for in the 2022 city and MPSIS budget. So really, the memo is to request a budget amendment in the amount of $620 to cover the increased cost in 2021, which will be funded already by the waived ICI premium. So it's kind of all taken care of.
Great, that's all I need to know, that's perfect.
Yeah, good questions. I will definitely in the future, for any reclassifications, put
Yeah.
the budget impact memo in there so that that's easily accessible.
My last question, is he the only employee under this MPIS or no, or do we have more?
I think he's the only one.
Ah, okay.
So initially, how that started, just go a little bit of history on this, is Matt Pro was initially hired as a systems administrator by the
Okay.
5 cities to administer the back-end software applications that all
Yeah.
5 police departments use. When there was a vacancy within the city's IT manager position, Matt ultimately was hired to move into that city IT director. I believe he maintains his role as systems administrator for the MPSIS as well as part of that, but don't quote me on it. And then as the MPS identified a need for a data analyst, then the contribution was put forth, or the request was put forth through MPSIS, all funded and approved by the 5 councils at the time. And then again, the analyst position was identified as a Fitchburg employee funded through those 5 municipalities.
Okay. Good to know. So, so Gabriela, can you
Yes, I
motion?
move approval of this job reclassification and description change.
I second. Any question, comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Okay, thank you. So next we move to 4D is an acting pay addition to employee handbook.
Yeah, so when we have managers that leave positions and we're in the middle of a recruitment or, maybe somebody's on a temporary leave of absence, we need to sometimes put people into a higher level position. So, for example, we've got our former police chief as our city administrator, and we have our deputy police chief as interim chief. Currently, we don't have any type of language in our employee handbook about how we handle acting appointments. So what we're looking to do today is add acting pay to the employee handbook. And so I put in the packet there, or on the agenda, what the language is that we're looking to get approved today. And I'm just going to kind of read it off. So basically what we're looking to do is the employee's temporary salary shall be set based on the hiring range of the new position. Generally, only one position is filled by an acting role. In order for immediate subordinate management staff of the acting appointment to receive higher pay for additional responsibilities, the original acting position must be the top-level department manager and an emergency responder. So we put in parentheses, city administrator, chief of police, IT director, fire chief, and or director of public works. So what that actually means is that for example, our deputy chief is the interim police chief. There's duties that were on the deputy chief's plate that are being done by a couple of our lieutenants in the police department. So how do we share that increase for acting pay, where it's not just our deputy chief or interim chief who's getting it, but what about our 2 who are next in command, who are also taking on additional responsibilities? So the acting role for, subordinate management staff to receive an increase would have to, again, be, pretty high up in the organization and be an emergency responder. So increases for subordinate staff that must assume greater responsibility due to the emergency nature of the position may receive higher temporary pay on a case-by-case basis, subject to approval by the mayor, city administrator, finance director, and HR manager. So the factors to be considered when approving acting pay for secondary positions include emergency nature of position, the level in the organization, and or the budgetary constraints. So anyone who's assuming a manager level role, so if I leave, our HR specialist takes on HR manager, she's going to get she'll get the acting pay automatically. But, if we have a high-level position in fire, for example, our fire chief leaves, and our deputy fire chief gets into the role, and then now we've got a couple of lieutenants in the fire department that take on additional duties. Because of the emergency nature of their position, they may be eligible for acting pay as well. So I hope that's, I hope that's clear. I mean, the goal is that we have the ability to give acting pay to not only the immediate manager, but the people who are underneath that immediate manager. And it would be reviewed by the mayor, administrator, finance director, and HR manager. And then we would use those factors to consider, like the emergency nature of the position, the budget, the level in the organization to approve it.
I have a question. I think it's fine, the concept is fine, you know? My question is, why do you select only the department that are more emergency responder and no other ones? You know what I mean? So this is one question. And the second, another one is, why it has to be approved by all these people? You know what I mean? Why do you need to have, they have to have the approval of all these people, the mayor, the city administrator, the finance director, and the HR manager? Can be approved by the city administrator?
So it can. I think we were trying to move away from that where just one person was being part of that decision-making process because of just having more people around the table to have those discussions, like understanding what our budget constraints are. So having the finance director as part of that, the city administrator, of course, as the approver, right? And then HR to be in the loop. We don't necessarily have to have all of these approvers. If we at least have two, at least you have two people talking about it, and then you can make sure that things are being done equitably, that we're it's not just up to one person to decide whether or not we approve something. So we can, we don't have to have all four of these people listed to be able to approve this. We're just trying to make sure that we have some accountability with who is approving it, and it's not just one person, but there's more discussion being had around the table.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the accountability, but of course, the city administrator is not going to go and approve something without consulting with the finance director or HR. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I understand the accountability part and control, but I think it's too many people for.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's bureaucracy.
We could say with approval by the city administrator in consultation
Yes,
with the
I
finance
would
director.
prefer that.
We did that with one of our last personnel changes. Gabriella, I think that was one of your recommendations.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say
and
that.
I agree with that, Alderman Frada. I think that, I honestly think it's a few too many people. And I know we faced this many times in the past year and a half, and I know it's an extraordinary, unusual situation that we probably won't have to see, hopefully for a long time yet, but, so I do think it's great to have this language, but I do think it's kind of a few too many people. I think that makes it complex in a way that, might be burdensome. So
Okay.
I'll make that motion. I move to amend this to.
Wait, because I need the other question answer. Because I understand why we are doing this with that group of, head of department or manager or whatever. But we are not telling the rest, your role is not so important. If the director of parks leaves and then we need to put the second one in command or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? When we talk about equitable, I am seeing that with that lens. Why, for me, all the departments are so important that, and I don't want to have people, head of department from other department feel like, oh, you know what? It can happen to me, but then, I have a busy schedule, I already overload, and then I had to do an acting director or manager, and then I am not going to get compensated like other ones. Have you discussed that?
Well, part of it's a financial control, like how much do we have that we can actually accommodate, right? So that's, going back to one of our primary engineers leaves, and then now one of the technicians have to, step up. I mean, how far do we go, and how much acting pay do we give out? I know in the past, one of our public works directors split his acting pay or his percentage increase with his staff. So, I mean, just trying to figure out ways to do this in a way where we're being financially conscious about how much money we have and what we can spend and,
Yeah, but being financially counsel like that, we can lose people because people we are gonna overwhelm some people. You know what I mean? I don't know that one. Okay, yes, Chad.
I just want to be sure that we're all on the same page. As I read this, all departments, if there's a vacancy at a department head level, the next immediate person in chain of command or as designated by the city would be eligible for the acting pay to move in as to fill in for the department head. And what this is stating that in order to then have secondary employees, i.e. Immediate reports to the person who's moving into or direct reports of the person who's moving into that acting role, to also be eligible for acting pay of some sort. That's where the emergency nature of the roles is being considered. But if, as I read this, if the senior center director position was open, the assistant senior center director would be eligible to move into an acting pay status based upon the vacancy. However, because that's not listed in here as an emergency responder type position, a secondary or immediate direct report would not be eligible for acting pay.
So yeah, I understand that, but the way I am reading is like only those listed are the one that they have priority.
so all department heads will see acting pay. So anyone that goes to be in a department head level will automatically, so HR manager, senior center director.
So why do you need to write city administrator, chief of police?
Yeah,
IT
that's only for secondary, so I don't have an assistant HR manager, but our police department, due to the emergency operations, and the fire department and public works do have, second in command positions, like a deputy chief. So due to the emergency nature of that type of work in those departments, the city identified those as the ones being eligible for, acting pay at that secondary level. So, I mean, the main reason being that it's the emergency role and the fact that, you can't have people out, some people aren't going on vacation because the emergency role of the duties that they're not performing. So, it's really.
It kind of comes down to coverage and availability, right? So using the police department as an example, obviously that's the largest department in the city with 24-hour, 7-day-a-week responsibility. There are 4 members of the command staff: the police chief, the deputy police chief, and the 2 lieutenant positions. And obviously there's coordination about, okay, who can be off this week, who's going to be out of town this coming weekend, in case there's a reason for a command staff member to be responding in. So obviously when I've left the role as of Monday at midnight, that's now taken 25% of the available command staff coverage out of the mix. So what this does allow then is obviously you have the deputy police chief who by policy, much like any other person moving into any department head role, regardless of the response necessity, would qualify for the acting pay. And where this policy is being requested is that now the 2 lieutenants who, because of the fact that additional responsibilities will be presented on them and additional perhaps restrictions because of the desire to have that coverage and response availability and shrinking the available pool for that, will now also as secondary employees to that deputy police chief would be also eligible for some form of acting pay as well. So I think that's hopefully an example that helps kind of paint the picture. And really when you look at the listing of roles there, those all appear to be positions where some measure of coverage and an ability to respond within a reasonable amount of time would be necessary in the event of a vacancy at the department head level.
No, okay. See, I understand, although maybe it's the way it's drafted. I don't know. Maybe if it's drafted, explain it a little bit more. I don't know,
You'd like to see it for all department heads, is what I'm hearing, right? So instead of us identifying that secondary,
yeah, that I went confused with it,
Looks have
because
to
I
be.
understand, but also the question is this is acting pay is when there is a vacancy or someone leave
a leave of absence.
a lot of us, and that's enough for vacation because,
Yep.
vacation, you have to be sure that.
Yeah, more than a vacation. Think of a medical leave of
I
absence.
know, but it's a better way to be said, acting, because sometimes maybe when, people take a vacation and say, oh, I am doing his work, and they're gonna, no, it's only for vacancy and yeah, yeah.
Am I, and I'm sorry to interject here, am I better interpreting your feedback in that you would prefer to see the language modified to remove the reference to identified emergency responders and basically state something along the lines, and we can work collectively
Yeah.
to come up with the language here that would say, I'm just going to kind of, toss this out off the top of my head, but okay, in the event of an approved leave of absence and/or vacancy in a department
Yeah.
head level position or other really
Yeah.
management role,
Yeah,
the city will designate, an acting
Acting, yeah.
person to fill that role. The city will, compensate that acting person in accordance to what you have listed here. And then it could say something along the lines, additionally, the city may consider secondary
Yeah.
employees for acting pay with approval by the city administrator in consultation with the HR manager, finance director, and mayor.
yeah, I feel.
And then, the factors that could be considered would be the emergency nature of the position, the level of the organization in which there's a vacancy, budgetary constraints, could be the workload of the department,
Workload, yeah.
or mission of the department, those sorts of things. Is that kind of where
Yeah, I
you're
feel more
wishing to see it?
I feel more
yeah.
comfortable with that language, with the language is here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, Gabriela, yeah.
I 100% agree with that, and I actually really like what Chad laid out. I think
Yeah.
that took into a lot of this discussion.
So you remember what you said?
Well, I was just going to say, can we get fact to roll back the tape for us?
I'll take the minutes. It's all good.
Is this something we could wait to take action on until the next meeting, so you have time to take a look, or is it something you really want to take action on today?
Well, we're hoping for action today
Because they
because
have
we have
people.
an interim chief right now that we have to figure out.
Yeah, we have people already.
Let me do this. You guys have other business. Is it all right to table this while I put together, I'll type something up that tries to at least begin to caption that, and then we could potentially bring it back?
Retroactive, in the case of Matt Laha, in case, because he's going to be affected, we can do it retroactive,
Sure.
to July 13, you know what I mean?
Right.
But you're suggesting actually putting it right
If
now.
you want to table it for now, carry on with the agenda, and then bring it back up, and I'll try to type something up that would allow us to
And
work
the
off
only
of.
problem, Chad, is that we meet every 2 months.
No, when I say table it, I mean just temporarily for this meeting, and then bring it,
Talk about it at the end.
and then bring it back up at the end.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I can make that motion. Let's move items E and F
yeah, okay,
above item D.
okay.
Motion.
Okay, so you want to tape it? Okay, I get it now. Okay, so I think I'm slow today.
Usually that's me.
Okay, so we're moving to city administrator onboarding plan. So,
Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen so you can see the onboarding plan
Yeah.
that we just gave to Chad this week. We actually sent it to him last week, so you had a little heads up. But I included this in the packet so you can kind of see, we have everything from his first week, his first 30 days, to, even going through the first 90 days. So our goal here was just to kind of help put a resource together for Chad so that he knew kind of what some of the, key stakeholders to meet with would be, some really important different processes he needed to get acclimated to. So, of course, meet with the mayor this week, and then we've got, of course, meet with Misty on several finance processes, and meeting with the acting administrators. Of course, meeting with his executive assistant, Lisa, to find out how she helps support him. And then, of course, meeting with different department heads, one-on-one, even alders one-on-one, HR meeting with him for various, various topics, and then a tour of different facilities, public works projects, economic development happenings, attending one of our employee resource group meetings. So there's a lot on here, meeting with our city attorney, our city clerk. So our goal here, again, is just to help get Chad in a comfortable place, as much as we can. And then, of course, after the first 90 days to, get with the town of Madison absorption as far as, his role and what he needs to do, collective bargaining, our police and fire contracts are up at the end of this year. And attending at least a different board and committee and commission meetings, so that at the end, he's actually attended at least one of every single one of them that we have here.
Okay.
Continuing conversations with Madison Metro, and then we even go into the first 6 months as far as different, different things that we'd like to kind of help with and help support. So this isn't set in stone. Of course, if Chad sees other things he'd like to add to this or modify, this is just meant to be a resource for him.
No, I really like it because I do the same when I have new onboarding stuff. We have put a plan together. The only thing that I don't see here, or maybe it's like what is if he's gonna go to trainings or conference? You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know.
We have on the very last page, it says under the first 6 months, executive individual development plan. So
Okay,
this
yeah.
is where we have made connections with, and then we list a few different, a summer conference in August of 2021, the Ellers Conference. So it's not a, completely exhaustive list, but just to
Okay.
kind of get them started. But really connecting with those other city administrators in the area should really help.
Okay.
One of the things Joe brought up to me, I talked to him last week, is he would like to see a potential council retreat and the possibility of that. So that would be something else to add on to the onboarding plan.
When you mention connect with other board, commission, or not-for-profit organization, I will say also to include, there are plenty more there that he can attend or introduce himself. And also it will be, to meet all the partners, not-for-profit, they are under the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then the Latino Consortium for Action, there is another one. So.
Absolutely. I will definitely add those on.
There is like some workforce development boards too. There is one from the southeast Wisconsin. I don't know, but they are like workforce development agencies. They have, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Gabriela, do you have a question about this? Comment?
No, I second all that feedback, and I think it looks great. I'm glad that it's really nice to see this laid out like this.
Yeah.
I know it's not 100% necessary, and I trust that you and Chad are going to do a great job making sure that he's on board and feels comfortable. But it's nice to be able to see this all written out. It's very helpful. So thank you.
Thank you. That's the goal. We want Chad to be very comfortable and successful in his position. So, yep, this is something we try to do for, any department head that's coming on, but even not just for department heads, any employee. So we have a really good, robust orientation checklist that we give out to departments, and we're starting to use a onboarding portal. It's in NeoGov, so.
You gave me another idea.
Yes.
We should have something like this for new council members.
Oh, yeah.
I 100% agree with that. I would love to really. I'm a big believer in checklists, so if there was like a real suggested onboarding checklist for new alders, that would be great.
On where to look for information.
So I know I shouldn't even do this to start, but I have recently read an article on onboarding new council members, commission members, and so forth. And I didn't get involved in the earlier conversation on this, but I think that is something that perhaps the city council as a whole may want to look at moving forward, as a priority for the council to provide input on that process, using your own experiences and perspectives to come up with that checklist, and making sure that we've covered the bases there. And, one of the other unique things that I read in that article was about, establishing ground rules of conduct for
Oh, yeah.
council members and committee and commission members. It's fine to have disagreements, and that's perfectly healthy, but, how do you convey those differing opinions and so forth? And, so it is something that I think that perhaps the council may want to consider, obviously, that staff could help facilitate developing.
No, and I agree with you, Chad, and also I have seen some new board elders, sometimes requesting information, or even there is plenty of information in the website, but it's so difficult to find information. Or maybe to have like a half an hour, how to navigate, how to get the resources from the website for elders, it will be great too, because it could be like a webinar, you know what I mean? Someone can do, if you need information about this, all the financial information is saved here. You go there. All the, you know what I mean? Because there's so much stuff. We have all these study plans, but sometimes you need to go and try to navigate in the website to find. But that one is, even should be in a checklist. Where can I find this? It's in the website. In this, you know what I mean. So okay.
Okay. I am going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay, and then we are done with this topic. So then we move to the police chief recruitment update.
Yeah, so just today on social media, for example, the city's Facebook page, we put out a Facebook event for the public reception. That's August 3rd at 6:30 p.m. That'll be at the Painters Union on 5375 King James Way. We'll have some Spanish interpreters there, and we're looking at having some food and refreshments as well to try to help draw more people. We do not know who the finalists are yet, but we will the week of July 19th.
Okay.
And as soon as we know who those are, we'll get, profiles out. We'll share their community panel presentations too, so you can actually see them answering a question related to crime in Fitchburg and the Madison area. And so I'll share my screen so you can kind of see what the next steps are. But Wednesday, July 21st is the big interview day. So that is already next week, Wednesday. So the PFC's been really busy. We've been having a lot of special meetings to discuss everything from, the start of the process, the posting, the advertisements, the surveys. So we're kind of I would say about halfway through the process. And next week we'll have panel interviews, and then in the afternoon we'll have community panel presentation. So both of these items are scored. We had 14 applicants. We have 9 that we're inviting in for interviews and presentations on July 21st. Super excited. That evening, we have a PFC meeting, so we'll talk about how the day went, and then we'll choose the finalists in closed session. So we will know Thursday, July 22nd, who those finalists are, and then we'll be sure to start getting the word out for the August 3rd event. And then the next series of events would be not just the public reception, but also the PFC interviews. So the PFC will have the opportunity to interview the finalists in closed session. Chad will be able to meet with them one-on-one. The mayor will be able to meet with them one-on-one. And then we'll have a tour, so a city tour and a department tour. And we'll be doing an extensive background check on that selected candidate. So, some big processes yet to come, but we're really, really excited about the 9 candidates that are invited to attend next week.
Oh, so there are 9. How many apply?
14 applied.
14?
Yes. Yep.
And there is a short list is 9?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So they're going to interview the 9?
Yes. Yep. Yep, so 9, and their names are all confidential at this point, but as soon as they're finalists, then we'll definitely release their names.
Can you tell us the demographic of that, or no?
Yeah, about 50% are people of color. We did have two women that applied, but unfortunately they didn't make it.
Okay.
One didn't pass the minimum qualifications, and then one didn't pass the application scoring that we had.
Okay.
So we definitely have some diversity in the mix.
Okay, good to know.
Yep.
Who are in the community panel?
Yeah, so we have multiple people. What I can do is show you, see if I can bring that up for you. We have almost 10 people part of that process.
Okay.
And so who is going to be on the actual interview panel? Greg Jones, who is a resident, Chief Kristen Roman, just as of today, won't be able to make it. So I need to find another police chief to be part of the process, unfortunately. Lisa Heitman, who's our union president, Paris Equiles, I might be mispronouncing that last name, he will be on there, and Jim Wheeler. And then part of the presentation, we have Randy Udall, Robert Gorsuch as a business leader, Tom Thorson, prior PFC president, Pia Kinney James, who has prior Madison PD experience, Matt Leahy, who is our deputy or our interim chief, John Stransky, who is a PFC member for the city of Monona, Jorge Covarrubias, who works for the Madison School District, Nicole Smithback, and I'm blanking on her role. She was a recommendation by one of our PFC members, and then Tom Grossi, who is a resident, a Fitchburg resident.
Oh, good to know that Tom is there.
Yep. So we have two really
But
strong
how
panels.
diverse is a group?
We have diversity. So in
How
fact, I
okay.
think we have got 3 of the 5 are diverse for the interviews, and then I believe 3 of the 9. I couldn't tell you for sure.
Jim Wheeler is part of the interview?
Yep, Jim is on the interview panel.
But why? He's an elder.
So we did want to incorporate an elder at every step in the process.
Yeah.
So that's why like Randy is
Okay.
part of the presentations, Jim's part of the
Okay.
interview. We had Gabriella, were you part of the, it's been such a long time now. You were part of the
There was a
equitable hiring
tool-
tool.
a discussion about the hiring toolkit.
Yes.
early
So
on,
Gabrielle was part
yeah.
of the process
Okay.
too. So that was our goal, was to insert
Okay.
at least one elder, one employee.
Okay.
So we've got, that's why we have the union president there to help represent the employees.
Okay.
And then we've got Matt, who's our interim chief, as part of the presentations.
Okay.
So really excited for next week. It's going to be a really great day.
So how you're doing the outreach for the August 3rd meeting?
Yeah, so the same way that we recently updated how we were outreaching for the survey. So, the neighborhood associations, Joe suggested property managers
Yeah.
to get it out to them. We were working with the neighborhood association leader in the Jamestown area, who also is sharing it with, residents in that area. Paper copies, Rosa would like to pick up some paper copies and then distribute those to residents. So our goal is to really get it out through, and also Sed, who is the planning intern in the planning department, he helped us out with getting it out as well. So I'll reach out to him through the Healthy Neighborhoods Initiative as well. So our goal is to, as much as we reached out for the survey, I would say toward the end of the,
Yeah.
in the last few weeks of the survey, that's our goal, is to send it out the same way.
Are you planning to translate the flyer that is
Yes,
in the
it's actually, yep, and I will almost have it. Actually, I had
Who did it?
the Geo Group, who
Okay,
actually,
can I take a look before you go out?
yes. Yeah, the Geo Group translated the flyer into Spanish for us, so we paid an agency to do it, so we're just waiting back and I just sent it yesterday, so I should have it. They're really, really quick, so I should have it really soon
Yeah,
here.
because the survey that it was in Spanish has a lot of.
Okay. That's good to know. I will definitely share.
I
with you.
share my concern with the PFC, you know what I mean? So the language, some of the phrases, the sentences, wasn't clicking, you know what I mean? So this is what I say, it's good that first, someone that speak the language as is the first language, you know what I mean? Take a look. Because it's, you can find some.
If it's okay, I'd love to reach out, and if you want to take a peek at it
Yeah,
before we
take
get
a
it
peek
out,
and see it
that'd be
sounds
great.
correct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it's fine, but I mean something. Because I noticed that with the survey in Spanish, that they were, so some words and phrases that they didn't sound correctly. So,
Ugh.
but it's fine, It's okay.
I have one comment.
Okay. Yes.
For the public reception, it would be good, I think, for there to be an explanation of the timeline. and also an explanation of how the hiring decision is made. Because we just went through the administrator process, I think there might be an impression that this is made in some way by the mayor and the council, which it's very clearly not. So I think having the public understand how the decision is made, who is making the final decision, and let them know how they can contact the PFC if they want to give their opinion based on, you know, their interactions at the public reception. I think it would be really good for there to be clarity on that route. So, because I, of course, can forward emails that I get to the PFC, but I think it's good for people to know who are the decision makers.
That is great feedback. I will definitely add that. And Aaron will be moderating that night, so he'll be asking the questions, just like the city administrator process. It'll be very similar.
Oh, the public will have the chance to ask questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. You can submit a question. So if someone has an idea of a question they would like the mayor to ask, you can submit it online.
Okay. Are some of those people in the short list are from the area or they're outside Wisconsin?
Yeah, we do have quite a few from Wisconsin
Oh, okay.
and local.
Oh,
Yep.
interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so any other question regarding this? No? So we are coming, thank you. We are coming back to item 4D. Are we ready, Chad?
Yep, sending it to Sarah now.
Oh, you're gonna put it on there, okay.
You bet.
So this is just the first attempt to try to capture what I said. I don't know how well I did, to be honest with you, but feel free to take a look at it, and you know, we can continue to make some modifications after you've had a chance to look at it and kind of process it a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds better. Yeah,
I like this too.
yeah.
So, thank you. One thing is I've just, you know, read it for about the fourth time here. I am just curious, do we need to clarify any further that, you know, is it the city administrator, again, in consultation with the finance director and HR manager, that is responsible for approving that singular employee, you know, in a case where only one employee is going to be assuming that role? Or do you feel it is clear enough as it's written that obviously in a case where only one person is being moved into that acting role, that the city administrator will take care of that in consultation? Or should I kind of tweak that language a bit more to reflect that in both cases, i.e. one person and or secondary employees would also, you know, trying to capture that it's the same approval process?
Yeah, I think, I think it should be, you know, like both, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
know, yeah,
Let me see if I can just,
but I don't know.
if anyone has any suggestions on how that might be a
Well, yeah, I
little
mean,
more
if you,
clear.
the city administrator in consultation with the finance director and HR manager may approve temporary salary increases, period. If that's like one sentence, maybe at the top, and then
Okay,
on a case-by-case basis for secondary employees, who, because that basically like is just an additional
sure.
consideration for
Yeah,
secondary
I
employees.
think that'll cover it. Sarah, you able to?
Yeah, so I just updated, all right, may approve temporary salary increases, period, on a case-by-case basis. The city administrator Do you think it's necessary to have to put this again with the?
Sure.
I don't think you need to put it again.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think you could just say on a case-by-case basis, comma, secondary employees who assume additional duties and responsibilities because of a leave of absence or vacancy may also be eligible for.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Okay.
And I like that this is a little more flexible
Yeah, agreed.
as a,
And it's, yeah, and and we don't name any department, and,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
I would also just pose a question, and this is to the three of you. If this language is approved by the commission or committee tonight, should there be a condition on it that it's reviewed by the city attorney at all? Is there any other internal staff that should also have a weigh-in on this, just to make sure that I didn't change any language from the original proposal that would cause any sort of concern for anyone? I don't think anything has changed significantly, but it may not hurt to at least just reroute it back through the other channels if you don't feel that would unnecessarily delay the timing on this. Again, I don't think that it certainly hasn't changed the spirit at all, that's for sure.
No.
I don't think it's been a substantial enough
No.
change to
Okay.
have to run it through. It's essentially saying the same thing
Yeah,
that we had written. It's just removing
Yeah.
the emergency
Yeah,
definition.
and I guess what we could do is if there were any concerns that were presented from internal staff who had been involved in the initial, right, it could always come back to the commission or committee for an additional modification at a future meeting.
Yes. But I think, we are saying the same thing
Yeah,
in a different way, but
okay.
I don't.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there. I just didn't want to,
No.
I didn't want to just change something without,
Yeah,
without
the first day of
everyone else.
work, you're already causing trouble.
Yeah, throwing my weight around.
Okay.
so do we need a motion? for
Yeah,
this,
you
or-
need, can you do it, Gabriela?
I'll move approval to add this acting pay section to the employee handbook.
I second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries. So, okay, so we are at the end of our meeting. Any announcements, Sarah, from your department?
Just please share, if you can, the public reception flyer. We would love a great turnout. We're going to be working with Little John's Kitchen to help with some catering.
Oh,
So we do want to have some food and refreshments so that people, feel comfortable and come on down and just visit. We think the event might go about an hour and a half. But, the most important thing for us is at the very end to have that informal time to just walk on up and talk to the finalists.
How big is the place?
It's pretty big. There's even overflow rooms.
Okay.
So there'll be no problem accommodating.
And people are going to be, there are enough chairs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So,
And that's about
That's it?
it.
Okay.
We're busy in HR, so
Okay.
we're recruiting right now for a receptionist. So if you know anyone looking for a position that doesn't require any experience, we don't require prior receptionist experience. Being bilingual is a huge plus, and so it's strongly desired. So if someone is bilingual in Spanish, we would, definitely encourage anyone that's interested to apply.
yeah, that one was my first when I saw that, and I said, oh no, our only bilingual, person is leaving,
Right.
So that one, yes.
Right. She
I
got a
will-
promotion, and we're really, really happy for it.
No, I
But
know,
it's
it's
so
a good-
hard to see
yeah.
her go. She's a wonderful
Yeah.
employee.
Yeah, I know. I already talked to her, but I said, no, she's saying, yeah. But yeah, so I'm happy for her. But yeah, so bilingual, it would be a plus because I always refer people and I say, don't worry, there is someone speaking Spanish in the front desk. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so.
And there's no education or experience requirement. So
Okay.
really, even somebody who had just finished high school and
High
doesn't
school.
really know what they want to do,
Okay.
apply. This is a chance to
Okay.
get a full-time benefit job with,
Yeah, that's
pension. It's a great opportunity.
Okay. Okay, thank you, everyone.
I just have one more quick thing, just,
Oh, yeah.
Ironically, I was just checking some emails here quickly, and Misty had just forwarded me an email in regards to that forthcoming budget amendment on the data analyst position. And there were some updated numbers, so I just want to make sure you have that, just in the interest of full disclosure. The updated numbers for 2021 is $929 is what the cost will be. Those costs are offset for this year by $794 in the waived MPSIS ICI premiums and $135 in waived city ICI premiums. And then the $2,500 increase for 2022 will obviously be accounted for in the 2022 city and MPSIS budgets when adopted. And again, that $2,500 would be split amongst the 5 municipalities, with Fitchburg share being approximately, 28, 29%.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You bet.
Okay, so I need a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is approved, and we are adjourning at, I don't know, what time? 5:38. Thank you very much.